All right. Hello, Capricorn. How's everybody's day going? Hopefully, you're either having a great start to the day if you're on the West Coast, or if you're on the East Coast or in Europe, you're having a great evening. Good to see you. Really looking forward to tuning into today's reading. I actually was up very early this morning, like 4:35 a.m., and I kind of felt like I was in the middle of a work day. We'll talk about it when we get into the channeled messages here in just a few minutes, but there was a lot of research, a lot of work being done, and I feel like this month that's definitely going to avail itself to you. You're going to have all of these growth opportunities. And one of the key messages that came through is to really just be authentic, be yourself, and I'll help you through it. I'm going to put down Apollo so he can get back to his sleeping, and then we're going to get started here. First things first, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Welcome to your monthly forecast. The monthly forecast can always be used for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. Of course, if you happen to know more about your sign, you can look at it for all the different aspects of your chart. The way that I like to organize it is listed right here. I always begin with messages that come from dreams and meditation, and that's what I call the channeled messages. Then we'll get into the Celtic Cross, which can take any shape or form that it needs to. I always make sure to focus on specific areas, including health, wealth, love, and destiny. That way you can get basically a nice bird's eye view of what's going on for you. And the rest of the forecast is listed below. We have opportunities for you to vote and kind of work with me, and then there are other things that I will choose, and we'll take it step by step as we go through it. Let me just go ahead and give you a few ways that you can interact with me, and then we'll get straight into the messages since there's so much to talk about. First of all, if you're brand new here and you want to make sure that you know when future videos come through, you can simply hit the subscribe button and then opt into notifications. Even if you're a longtime viewer, you might want to check notifications to make sure that you've checked all rather than personalized or none, because sometimes it gets kind of scrambled if you don't do it yourself. So anyway, that's a great way to stay in touch. If you also want to kind of keep in touch and know when I post new videos or if there's any news or information going on, you can check me out on social media. Let me post a link here in the chat too, so you have it. All of my handles are typically just my name, except for Twitter. And one thing to remember when you're interacting with me on any social media platform is please ignore any DMs or people in comments that are trying to get you to do things or whatever, because usually those are imposters. The way that I interact is through live videos like this, and occasionally I'll do a live video on Instagram or TikTok, so it is worth following me there. But this is my primary platform and the primary way that you can connect with me. If you have any questions or want to see more information on my website, I just pinned the information right there for you. Okay. All right. So last thing that you can do to show some support in real time is if you'd like to, you can become a member. You can do a super chat or a super sticker, and there's the information on all of that. On replay, there's a chance to do thanks as well. All of that works in the same sort of manner or fashion. All right, let's talk about your channel messages. Let me just set it up so that you understand kind of like how I arrived at the totem, and I'll go into much further depth of like what it was that I saw. But as I mentioned earlier, it felt as if you're kind of at this precipice where you could either repeat a pattern and do what was done, or there's this need to kind of make sure that you know what's going on around you so you avoid making a mistake that others have done. So there's a chance to break a cycle, and there's a need to do some research and to tap into sort of what's going on before you make that next leap. When you make that next leap, then I think a really big breakthrough is going to happen, but there's this momentary pause and integration that needs to happen right here and right now. Let me set up the presentation and we'll bring it all together and it will start to make sense for you. All right, so today you have a really cool totem, which is the parrot. Brightly colored, very sort of great personality, sort of just stands out there when I think of different totems. The parrot is definitely unique. And then messages around researching and then trying to do something differently. Not necessarily following the predicted path, but again, having to understand what the expectation is before you can break the rules. So parrots, what's kind of cool with this particular symbol? Well, first of all, it's bright, it's bold, it has star energy, but it also has some sort of like a flip side to it, which is what it's most known for is its ability sometimes to mimic, right? When we think of a parrot that basically just says what you say, we even use the word parroting, right? So don't parrot back what I've said. So rather than mimic others, use your own voice and vision. These are very intelligent birds, and we'll get into that in a moment. So although that the sort of imitation portion comes through, it isn't a necessary piece. We don't have to kind of go there, and that's one of the things that this particular totem is reminding you. What you might be looking for could be hiding in plain sight. I was curious, why so bright? When I was looking at the plumage and the colors of the birds. Some of the feather details are actually just light refraction or reflection, kind of like what you would see with a peacock. But other parts of the feathers are actually due to pigmentation. Based on the research that I did, it looks like what they're trying to do is confuse predators because it's harder to make them out. They also blend in with some of the colors in the forest and the natural places that they live. So, like if you think of a bird of paradise, those brightly colored flowers and then all the green, it's just sort of like, where's the bird from all of the other sort of flora that's going on around it. So it's for camouflage and to confuse. And what this is telling me, when we think of something that can kind of be blending in, even if it is sort of confusing or bold, what you're looking for could be right in front of you or right around you. The confusion piece could actually come in because people around you are trying to distract you from focusing on what you should be focusing on. A lot of times shadow energy will come through in our lives in the same sort of way. So there could be someone that's making a lot of noise, doing something that kind of takes your energy away. And it's not until you stop investing in their noise, in their distraction, that you get back to what was in front of you. You're like, oh my gosh, I missed this because I was focusing on that. So bringing your attention to the task or tasks at hand is one message here. The other is things are not what they seem. There's definitely this sort of almost deceptive. It could be deceptively easy or complicated when you're looking at different things because of the camouflage aspect of this. So be discerning, be curious. Don't take things at sort of like first glance and think, I've got this. Go over everything a few times because lo and behold, you're probably going to find some additional levels of meaning. You might find some errors. You might find something that you never saw before. Okay? So I chose the 5 and the 4 of Cups because they are illustrating this in different ways. 4 of Cups is focusing so much on someone else or something else that you miss the blessings and the opportunity that's kind of like being handed to you. The 5 of Cups could be worrying that something didn't go the way you wanted to. Meanwhile, there's something really great that's still available to you. There could also be hidden help or love or support that's also right there. So basically, if we were to wrap this up in a couple of words, things are not what they seem and things are better than you think they are. Not bad, right? Use all of your tools and skills, everything that's available to you. When I was researching and looking into what makes a parrot unique, all birds, I think, have around 4 digits, but the parrot uses them differently. Most birds have 3 in the front and 1 opposing claw. The way that the parrot's arranged is that there's 2 in the front and 2 in the back, so they have like 2 opposing digits on either side, which gives them more dexterity. It allows them to use tools a little bit better, and as we said before, they have better linguistic skills than some of the other birds out there. So using your communication skills, which we haven't really talked about thus far, Queen of Swords, King of Swords, using all of the tools available to you, brainstorming, which is one of the positive energies of the 7 of Cups, which is why it is highlighted here. All of these things are going to put you ahead of the pack, basically. And that's what you want to do, is differentiate yourself. Use all of that stuff that you have, even if people don't know that you have it in you. You're not a one-trick pony, so show people all of the different things that you can do. Use surprise as basically something that can be an advantageous element as well. So if someone doesn't expect it and you do it, it could actually make them remember you in the long run, right? Do the research. This was the thing that woke me up this morning. So fun fact, one of the things that I did in my career was I kind of worked my way through all the different ranks of design. I was a production artist, then I was a designer, then I was a senior designer, then I was a lead designer, then I was an art director, then I was an art manager. So I kind of did everything but art director, but I never went to like the director role because I wanted to do something different in my life. But what I learned as I went through all of that was the importance of understanding direction, being able to integrate and help someone else convey their own thoughts or ideas, take constructive criticism, but also there was something that I would do to help communicate visually, which was creating mood boards and also style guides. And a style guide, what I was being shown was like, look at what was going on. They were something that I haven't done in a while, and it's kind of a fun exercise. So you could pick up magazines at the newsstand and just sort of see like, what are the colors they're using? What are the type styles that they're using? Whenever you're kind of deciding to decorate a space, you might be looking at the Pantone swatches for the year or whatever. So in everyday life, we can still use this idea of a style guide. What are the best practices in whatever it is that you're dealing with? If you're looking for buying a house, if you're looking for creating or starting a new business, if you're going to get married, what's going on? How have other people done it? Where did they fail? Where did they succeed? What do you want to do differently? It's basically setting down that groundwork of saying, I've studied the history of this approach. Some things are worth keeping, some things I'm going to toss, and I'm going to take a couple of educated guesses or leaps of faith here, but because I'm kind of really hedging my bets on, I trust my skills here. I know this, and I know that it hasn't been done. So this is how you can make sure that you're not just doing something for the sake of it, just for the heck of it. You really want to look at best practices, what the sort of industry is doing, what others are doing around you, and then you're going to get ahead of the curve. This is what's going to set you ahead. For those of you that are looking for a new job, for those of you that are looking for a new home, for those of you looking for love, there might be a different approach that you can take to any and all of these things that are going to make it happen faster. And this is what you really want to focus on. The most important thing, as I put in that final bullet, is it's a time to be 100% you or authentic. Know the rules, know when to break them, and know basically when and where you want to sort of get ahead of these things and be comfortable in that. Because sometimes being a trendsetter means that people question, like, are you sure? Why are you doing this? Why won't you just do what we did before? It's predictable, it's safe. So getting outside of your comfort zone, but knowing that it's going to be okay is going to be a part of this. If you're bored in your life, if you're bored doing something, if you're bored full stop, chances are other people are bored too. Don't repeat a past experience. So I was also shown this metaphor of you repeating a class or going back to an old job or being with an ex. And immediately upon entering into this repeat experience, it was sort of like, oh gosh, why am I doing this again? Because you already know how that story ends, right? And you don't, sometimes it's fun to reread a book or watch a movie, but I will say there's diminishing returns. Even if you're looking at a TikTok, to kind of break it down in today's kind of technology. It's funny sometimes the first times you see something or it's engaging, but like by the third, fourth, or 10th time it's on your For Your page, you're sort of like, enough. Like, I've seen this enough. I've heard this song. I've seen this dance. I heard that joke. There has to be something different. So we have to constantly be evolving. And if it's the same old, it's just sort of like yesterday's leftovers 3 times in a row. You don't want to keep consuming it. So don't repeat a past experience in your life. We've got 2 cards here that show, one that shows a chance to sort of make and break a cycle, the 8 of Cups, and then the Tower, which is no, we're going to break the cycle. We're going to flip the script. And flipping the script just means like rewriting it or turning it inside out, going against the typecast of whatever you think something should be. But in particular, as you're given a chance to maybe approach an ex-partner, an ex-friend, an old job, an old experience, or something that has just been tried and true, but you're done with it. This month, you're being asked to rise above and try something different. April is a really cool month because whether you're in the northern or the southern hemisphere, there is still the energy of spring and fall, which is resurrection, which is birth, death and rebirth put together. So we're going through it collectively at the same time. So you may put to rest something so that you can see something else flourish and grow, end the cycle ultimately. And I think that's everything. I mean, I say that's everything, but we went through a lot there. So as I'm looking at your messages here in just a moment, when I take a look at the Celtic Cross today, I'm really curious to see where the opportunities are for you to find your voice and develop that sort of unique approach, where there are places where the script needs to be turned inside out, where you've maybe learned everything, but you're being tempted to repeat it, because these were the things that I was shown. So let's take a look. I'm going to see which decks of cards are calling to me today. I think I'll let you vote, but I'm going to try to mix it up here a little bit. So give me a second to pull up some unique cards that we haven't seen in a while, and then we'll get started. And while I'm doing that, here's everything that I'll be covering today. So give me just a moment, and then you'll get to vote on the cards. Let's see what we got here. Okay, here we go. Let me get this poll set up for you, and then we can get started. All right. So, some that we've used, some that we have not used, one that we haven't used in a long time. All right, so it's the Modern Witch deck, the Little Prince, the Star Seeker Tarot, and then the Wild Unknown. All right, so let me go ahead and set this poll up, and then we'll get started. All right. So, Modern Witch, Little Prince, Star Seeker, and Wildwood, rather. Okay, so I'll show you each one of these while I'm getting set up here. So this is the Modern Witch deck, beautiful bright colors, based on Rider-Waite-Smith. So there you go, definitely a great deck. This is a Little Prince. I don't use it that often, but I see it all the time in comments. People like this deck. It's based on the book of the same name. This is a newer deck that I have, and this is Star Seeker Tarot. Star Seeker Tarot, beautifully illustrated, and an Etsy artist, actually, so nice indie deck. And this is one of my personal faves. This is Wildwood, which has this sort of like great druid, earthy energy with tons of animal totems in it as well. Okay, so you take a moment to vote on that, and I'm going to get some stuff set up here, and then we'll get started. All right, I'm just making sure that I have my monitor on the side set up. And let's go. All right, so let's see where we're at. Looks like Wildwood is in the lead, and we're going to end this and get started. All right. So, sorry, let's go ahead now and, not channeled, sorry. Let's go ahead now and get into the Celtic Cross. All right. All right, one moment here. Some technical difficulties as I'm getting set up here. Okay. Thank you for giving me a moment. All right, welcome everyone. I like letting you vote, but it is a lot of chaos sometimes, which is why I usually just pick the deck myself. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's coming through for today. By the way, you chose like my personal fave here. I think it's a fantastic choice. Wildwood consistently brings out some of like the best messages, and I think it has some of the best illustrations too. I love reading with totems, and this is a really cool deck because instead of people, you get animals, which I love. So it just gives some richness in reading and meaning. Right? Isn't it just gorgeous to look at? It's one of the best decks. Already seeing some great synchronicities here with the unseen card that came through. Yeah, I got this deck back in 2015, and I've been using it ever since. It's great. Let's see, one more here. All right, let's take a look at your messages, and I'm just doing a quick scan. I'm happy to see that we got the Six of Cups here. Nice synchronicity here. Also, ends and beginnings here with the World card, definitely in connection to what we talked about. So we'll begin with the unseen. This is your catalyst for the month ahead. And remember the cards that I was showing earlier, the Five of Cups and the Four of Cups, when I was looking at the channeled messages? This is very much that. I was basically saying hidden in plain sight. So depending on how you're looking at this, it's kind of easier or harder to see the eye. But indeed it is there. It's made up, the big picture is what we're looking at. If you were to look at this too close up, all you would see is the little sort of pigmentation there, all the little dots, right? Those of you that are old enough, or maybe you have a family member that has one of these, remember the old dot matrix printer? It would do one line at a time, and it would make up a picture from all the little dots. If you still look in a newspaper or magazine, this printing method is still prevalent. Sometimes you see these little newspapers in particular. So what this reminds us is you've got to kind of like get out a little bit so you can see what's going on in your life. The unseen is right there. Something is right under your nose, right around you, or it's on the tip of your tongue or the tip of your head. So what you want to do is kind of like take a deep breath and find a different way to analyze, find a different way to sort of explore and to consider things, because you can actually get in your own way. And so I think one of the big gems of information that I could kind of give to you this month is know when to just sort of step aside and let things be and let things go, and let the energy sort of take you in the next direction. If you overthink, if you overanalyze, or if you just neglect to sort of tune in for a moment, you could lose a big aha moment. So I just want you to slow down a little bit and look around and take it all in. Getting enough sleep can be part of this, like making sure that you're rested and tuning into, like what I did last night, making sure that I'm tuning into your messages in this case, making sure that the people that you love the most, whether it's a friend, a family member, or a partner, or your child, you're taking time to see them, to truly see them and tune into what's going on in their life as well. Because there are blessings, there are challenges, and they're all around you, and they're ready for you to kind of like deal with them. The sooner you do that, the sooner you can get to the next phase. All right. Let's take a look at the center here. We have the Seven of Cups, which was also highlighted in what I was talking about when I was saying show people everything that you have to offer. The Seven of Cups can show a couple of different things. One of the positive aspects of the Seven of Cups is brainstorming, ideation, exploring, thinking of things that haven't been done. But we have a really cool card here with the sort of skull in the background here, which is also saying it's okay to think in a different approach. There was a branding campaign in the 90s, I think. Maybe it was late 80s, early 90s. Poor grammar, but great idea. Think different. It should be think differently. But thinking differently can bring about a whole new way of doing it. Just because it was tried and true doesn't mean it's all there is. That was a campaign that Apple used back in the day. And they would show all these different rebels and like innovators and engineers that were trying things differently and kind of like stepping out ahead of the crowd. So there has to sometimes be a death of the old to bring about a birth of the new. And that's what you have to kind of juggle around, is how can I reach both audiences? How can I say, yes, I know that this is what you wanted, but I wanted it too until I thought about this. And now that I've learned this and this and this, how could we ever go back to that? Because look at how much better this is going to be. You're going to have to set up the case for the people in your life that are resistant to change. You may have a mom or dad that's really conservative. Your partner may be very traditional. Your boss may be very stuck in their ways. Somebody just wants it to always be the same. Imagine on this planet if that happened. All we would have is single-celled organisms in the ocean floating around. Life continues to evolve and change, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but we always have to keep moving, trusting that we're going to go in the right direction eventually here, okay? So that's just how things work on this planet. Evolution, change, growth, movement. So if you can go into that energy this month, and if you can get someone else to take a step in that direction, you'll both benefit. The Seven of Cups does beg for clarity and also leadership at some point. So you can explore until the cows come home, or you're blue in the face, or whatever sort of metaphor you want to use. But at a certain point, you have to have a point of view. Someone has to take the lead. Someone has to say, now this is what I believe, and this is how we're going to do it. Are you on board? Are you ready? Can I count on you? And that's basically what the the Knight of Swords is asking here. So we have the hawk coming through. Beautiful bird's eye energy with the hawk as a totem. Nice energy for a knight. It's almost, to me, something that I would expect to see on the king card, but I like it. And so that's really what's coming through. So let's talk about Knight of Swords, and then we'll talk about the hawk as well. Knight of Swords. A knight would be able to take something that's not working and do the right thing, or show, demonstrate. A good code of conduct is always what I think of with a knight. So especially, not just even when, but I would say especially when people are behaving poorly or thinking erratically, the knight energy would come in to say, let's fix this. This is how it needs to be done. Let me show you. And then demonstrates it. And then hopefully that is enough to inspire people around them. So it's not just the parroting. And it's not just the delivery that you would see potentially with the page. This is an elevation of the thought, the idea, the action, or the communication. And that's what you're going to have to do. Take something and make it better. Better than you thought it could be, better than other people thought it might be. And you have the capacity to surprise yourself as well. But you may have to take that leap of faith and just think, I'm going to make this work somehow. Even if you're feeling a little bit frustrated, you will figure it out somehow. All right. So let's take a look at what could be causing some challenges. So we have the King of Cups reversed in the deep past. What does this mean for you? It means that some of you are emotionally, energetically tapped out a little bit, and it's sort of asking, how are you going to focus on being happy, being satisfied, and giving yourself permission to just be emotionally wherever you are. A lot of times, especially as spiritual people, we sometimes want to just wrap it all up in a happy Nine of Cups energy, which was in the crowning position. The card was reversed, which is saying you can't do that, because energy has a way of getting out. So if it's ridiculously positive energy, or if it's very uncertain or very negative, you have to find a way to kind of neutralize it and bring the bird's eye perspective that we saw with the hawk into the sort of picture here. So what's your outlet? What are you doing right now to decompress? Are you working so hard? And I've been here, it's been a long time, but there was a point when I had a few of my corporate jobs where I was just talking to a family member the other day where I would say it was like a 10-hour day at least. So I would get up really early, I would drive, it was long, it was trafficy, get to work, I'd work hard, I have to face the same traffic when I came home, I was hungry. It might be the most that I could do to eat. Sometimes I was too tired to eat and I'd just go to sleep. And that was a process that I would go through for years of just exhaustion, repeating that, giving it all to work, having nothing left. It's not sustainable if that's the case. So you need to have vacation, you need to have a therapist, you need to take a walk, you need to do something to break free of that. And we've all been there, especially those of you that are caretakers or parents or a partner that's supporting another partner. I get it. But number one rule for anybody who has people that depend on you, you can't afford to burn out. So you have to say no occasionally, and you have to give back to yourself occasionally to make sure that your battery is at least at the 70% mark so that you can deal with any sort of curveballs. Okay? Even if you're not supporting other people, you still need to do that so that you can deal with the unexpected. So find an outlet. And I don't care what it is, whether it's, having fun or talking to someone or exercising, all of those things I just talked about. Find a way to get the energy out and prioritize happiness and satisfaction. If you have a severe dislike of what you're doing for a living or with whom you're sort of spending your time or where you're living, that's where the energy has to go before anything else. You've got to find your zen and your foundation has to be firm. Okay? So let's take a look at the next card here. We're looking at a lot of kings right off the bat, which is interesting. So we have the King of Wands in reverse. It's interesting how we see sort of like the snake pit energy here. So let's take a look at this particular card. So what I like about this is the power, the strength, the energy that's kind of intrinsic to this. In the reverse state, however, it's showing me that you could be in a place where leadership is top heavy. Notice how the nest is right at the top, and we see this one snake on the sort of like the periphery that's trying to find its own way. If you are in a place where everybody thinks they're right, again, it could just be, like a family situation where, mom, dad, sister, brother, and you're kind of just left out wondering, like, why aren't people listening to me? Why am I always the outsider? It could be a job where there are way too many bosses. Almost like that silly movie Office Space where there were 15 different people telling him to turn in his TPS report or whatever. We've all been in a situation where people, and that was a situation where people were just parroting the same thing but not listening to what was going on. If this is the case, get out of that energy. Look at how nothing's going to get done there. Everybody's just writhing on top of each other and trying to be the one that's in the lead. The one in the background is the one that's the smart one. He's kind of like, I think there's a better path. So don't be afraid to veer away from that, to try a different trajectory. Keep an open mind. What we're also seeing here is groupthink, which is it's sometimes easier to just go along with what's popular, even if there's a question in your head where you think, I don't know. So don't be afraid to challenge authority, to ask for some information before going forward in a particular approach or whatever. Get your distance, get your point of view, keep an open mind, and stay out of that snake pit, okay? Because there is something that's kind of like one of the cycles I think that you could break, is getting into an energy where it's too cliquish, too tightly knit, and too conservative. We need some room to breathe. Let's take a look at what's going on in the crowning position, what's going on in your head. This is how I've learned to read it over time. We've got the Nine of Cups here in reverse. So as I was saying here, most of your authority cards are, and most of the center cards here, these are all reversed, these are all upright. So it's almost a nice 50-50 split. And by the way, just a quick note, I love reversals and I love to read with a mix of upright and reversals because it basically shows you where you can do the most work. A lot of times people say you're not shuffling enough or I don't like reversals. And I always like to kind of use the analogy of like, would you stop the alphabet at the letter K just because you only like everything before it? So a reversal teaches you where the shadow energy is, where the hesitation is. It doesn't mean that you can't achieve what's in the card. It just means that there's a block. So we got to look at the blocks here. We got to do the work. And that's what I'm here to help you with. You have a nice spread, about 50-50. So I really feel good about where everything's headed, but we have to look at the reversals, folks. It helps you. So with that being said, this one is saying we can't wrap everything up in a nice, neat bow. The Nine of Cups in the upright position, even that can be an extreme. I like it. I like Three of Cups. I like Nine of Cups. Not as much as 10 of Cups, though, because 10 is more balanced. The 3 and the 9 can go overboard, the 9 especially. What I like about the way the artist in Wildwood has kind of dealt with the Nine of Cups is rise above the drama. So let's look at it really closely so you can see it. We have this sort of Zen master here at the center. He's rising up. Instead of being ruled by his emotions, he's using his passion, his energy, his intuition, and all of the sort of tools, as I said earlier, to kind of like strengthen it. The emotion would just be the exclamation point. It wouldn't be the tidal wave that you're kind of dealing with all the nonsense, and it can be destructive. So I would say being excited, being engaged, using all that energy is good, but don't let your anxiety or enthusiasm or confusion or rage or whatever get in the way of seeing the big picture, because we had that hawk right in the center. So I think it's really good to acknowledge and even say, I feel this way, but I want to look at this a little more. So let's say someone gives you something that you're over the moon excited about, 9 of Cups upright. You would say, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm really excited to explore this offer, this opportunity, this news. I need to sleep on it though. This is almost too much to take in at once. Can I have a day or two before I give you my final decision? Because I really want to feel good and solid about what I'm doing. And if anybody really cares about you and also cares about whatever it is that they're offering you, they're going to say, of course, take your time. Yes, please. I want to make sure you're sure too. So that's how you check the energy of the 9 of Cups. It's not to just ignore it. It's just to say, wow, this is a little overwhelming. This is a lot at once. Let's talk about it. Or I need some time. Or wow, this is just, let me just take a deep breath and drink this in for a second. So embrace the moment. If you just accomplished something amazing, maybe you're on the verge of graduating, maybe you got a loan, maybe you got a scholarship, you got accepted to a college or university that you like, someone proposed to you, by all means, you're going to laugh a little bit, you're going to cry a little bit, you're going to freak out a little bit. Give yourself a chance to go through all of those. It's kind of like the mountain on my shirt. You got to go through the peaks and the valleys. And once you get through all of that, then you're going to be able to see it for what it is. Okay? That's all that the 9 of Cups is basically saying. As we look here in the near future, this is the opportunity to break a cycle here. So we have 3 of Swords, but it's in reverse. And I kind of like how the heart's on fire here. We're setting fire to this old way of being. You don't have to sacrifice satisfaction or self to succeed or to basically grow. So I kind of like to make fun of the 80s idea of no pain, no gain. And I'm like, no pain, no pain. We don't need to go through unnecessary pain. Pain is just one teacher in our life. Stress is just one teacher. So, the fact that you're working, 2 or 3 jobs, never sleeping, never having any time, although that you might be learning, you might be gaining from that, maybe there's a way to work smarter or approach it in a less detrimental way. So you have to prioritize personal health, personal happiness, not at the sort of detriment of your overall sort of like, kind of like where you're living and what your finances look like. Quite the contrary. I feel like there's an opportunity where you can be healthy, happy, balanced, and also sort of be like reducing some of this unnecessary strain. You may be on a rebound. Perhaps someone stepped out of your life, a partner, an ex-partner, and you're trying to deal with that breakup energy. You could have lost someone in your life. Maybe someone passed away. There could have been a disappointment or a rejection. So maybe you didn't get accepted into your first choice for school or for work or a living situation, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Swords is, it's all the dramatic cards in tarot. I think it would be the most fun to sort of portray it on film because it's dramatic, right? 2 of Swords, oh, I can't see my way out. The 3 of Swords, oh my God, it's terrible, you're crying. The 4 of Swords, you're just exhausted and on the floor. 5 of Swords, arguing. Everything is all dramatic. So if we could just take the drama down a little bit with the 3 of Swords, it's not as bad as 10 where there's like tempers flaring and everything, but it is saying, I'm really holding on to this longer than I need to. Are you going through a grudge, a disappointment, anger, something where you just can't let go? Because what this is telling me, okay, so I'm going to break it down since we're looking at Capricorn right now. We need to focus on the different sort of approaches that you have. So if you are Capricorn moon, what you're doing right now is you're trying to rationalize emotions, and the heart doesn't go that way. The heart has its own sort of IQ and intelligence, and it's going to just feel it and know it. And sometimes when we try to put it all into a category, it's not going to work. If you're Capricorn ascendant, what's going on right now is many of you may be really pushing yourself too hard, and you took one piece of feedback or one rejection and it's crushing you, when in fact it should just be sort of nudging you this way or this way. Or maybe if you are that sort of unhappy, it's telling you, let's go in another direction altogether. But these things are not the end of the world. So we did basically moon, we did rising. And then for those of you that are Capricorn sun, I really feel like this is a pivotal moment for you to just say, I matter. My heart matters. And if I can't be appreciated in this situation, then it's not good enough for my sort of energetic investment. But mostly here, this isn't about you. It's about treating yourself better and prioritizing yourself a little bit more. And this is just a nudge or a redirection from the universe. It's not as dramatic as it seems. But you may be over-intellectualizing it, which is something that Capricorn can do. For me, I'm a Capricorn ascendant. So for me, a lot of times I was a type A personality. So I get that. I really cared about making sure everything was methodical and as perfect as it could be. So that perfectionist energy could come through in a relationship. It could come through in a job. It could also come through just you in general thinking it has to be a certain way. Three of Swords is saying it doesn't have to be that way, but it hurts sometimes when it doesn't go as planned, okay? So be kind to yourself and be kind enough to yourself to know when it's time to extract yourself from a situation. Healing is underway, though, with this particular card here. And what we see here with the Five of Cups, another one that I featured, is that you can actually have fun with the two cups that are availing themselves to you, because with the Five of Cups, there's usually three that are spilled and two that are upright. So it's a chance to be ecstatic like we see here and celebrate what's here for you, okay? So let's go ahead now and take a look at what's going on with you. In your heart and your soul, we've got the Moon card, and the Moon card is about dealing with stuff, even when you don't want to deal with stuff. Some of you may also have a Taurus placement. I know I do. And so the Taurus placement may also be playing a role with this because we see the bull in the background. But irrespective of what your other placements are, let's talk about the Moon a little bit. What really makes you excited about life? What drives you crazy? What makes you afraid? Pay attention to these things, because when you're able to deal with the hopes, the fears, and the anxieties, when we look at hopes, fears, and opportunity, we have the World card. You're going to be able to figure yourself out. That's why we see the labyrinth there, or the maze. And then you're also able to get to the next thing. So the only block here is, again, we've talked about it earlier, emotional state of mind or state of being. So when you know you, when you know yourself, you're going to be able to recognize the signs and the triggers and just kind of curve around them. They're not going to take you over. They're not going to overwhelm you. You're going to be okay. This is a really good time for natural instincts to kick in, because this is a card of intuition. It may not be as strong. I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily say that, but traditionally speaking, we would look at Magician and High Priestess as being stronger energy. But the thing that's cool with the Moon card is a lot of times this one is a little bit more easier to pick up on, let's put it that way, because it's instinctual. So it's almost like, when the doctor taps on something and you go like that, right? It's basically like reflex. It's a built-in energy. So don't go against the grain when it comes to that. So if you have a gut instinct, you feel it, you sense it, like, I can't do this, or I must do this, or that person is trouble, listen to that. Because you're being guided on a core intuitive level that should be, without a shadow of doubt, something that you follow. So the only thing that could get you in trouble this month is not listening to that inner core fiber knowledge that's saying, do or don't do this, right? There's no sort of shadiness in between. You're going to either know yes or no. Follow that. You should have a lot of inspiration this month. This is a sensual card, so many of you may find different ways to express yourself, both in relationships and also artistically. So good card, love it, divine feminine energy there. But if we don't listen to what it's telling us, that's when we get ourselves in trouble. Guess what? Look what's showing up in the environment. We have the Two of Pentacles, but it could kind of be playful. I see some playful, for many of you, it's going to be, we see challenge and competition. Here's the cool thing. You could turn this card, you could flip the switch on this one. You could make this the Two of Cups instead of the Two of Pentacles. What's happening here is you've got competing interests or competing resources, but both of the competing energies have a common sort of central focus. So you either want one person's energy or attention, or you want the same thing, but you're going about it differently. So if you can find a way to just say, hey, I think we both want that, right? Well, why don't I try some of this and you try some of that and we'll meet in the middle? It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. have more fun with it, and give a little bit, take a little bit. It's back and forth. It can't just be these two hares or jackrabbits kind of fighting. So a challenge can be flipped into, we can go from Two of Pentacles to Two of Cups. Now, in a traditional Two of Pentacles, I would always advise you to take one thing and prioritize it, because the two together, you're going to be doing half as effectively. If you were even to take it down and kind of put in the Six of Pentacles approach to it, that would say anything that just slightly tips the scales a little bit means you're going to focus on it more. So you could do a 60-40 or 70-30 sort of split where most of your energy goes into one and you just put the other one to the side a little bit. You don't have to ignore it altogether. If you have the luxury of saying, I'll do that next week, and you can put all your energy into something, by all means, whether it's focusing on health, focusing on your love, your relationship, whatever it is, it's going to grow. It's like you just sitting there and watering and tending to some sort of cosmic seed. You're just going to see a lot of energetic return on it. So you can either do that, or if you are feeling the competing tug of war energies, you've got some common ground that you're not meeting at. Find the common ground, and then this is going to get a lot more playful and fun. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at opportunities. Hopes, fears, and opportunities. We have the World Tree here, one of the most beautiful world cards I think that I've seen. It's saying that this was worth it. We have the Four Seasons here. I like to remind, this is a cool card actually because I have a wide audience here. So we're always either in spring and fall or winter and summer. So there's always extremes, and it's always represented in this card. No matter where you're at, it's just part of a spectrum here. And it could be, for many of you, the beginning or the end of something. Don't let wherever you are in this sort of process get you down. This is where, earlier I was talking about 4 and 5 of Cups. Sometimes we're comparing ourselves to others. Sometimes we're looking at what's going on and we're missing a big idea or a big picture. So this is saying, let's take a step back. Let's look at where I'm trying to go, and maybe I can avoid all of that altogether. Maybe I can just go around the outside and go straight to the door, right? There is a better way to get this done if you're ready, if you're open. Being open is one of the most important things that you can be this particular month. So by all means, approach that. Let's talk about the more traditional sense of what this card can represent. Besides ends and beginnings, it's visibility and distribution. So the World card would be about, let's say if you're a business, this can be about globalization, deciding to, instead of just shipping to a city or a town or a state or province that you're in, it's saying, no, I'm going to go bigger. I'm going to go outside of my borders. It can also be publishing, dissemination, podcasting, broadcasting, all of that sort of stuff, getting the message out, getting the word out. And for those of you that want to take something and put it into production, that's part of this as well. It's not thinking small, it's going big. And then if any of you are ready to finish something up, it's saying, absolutely make sure that all of your T's have been crossed, your I's have been dotted, that everything is done to the letter, and then let it go. Because you're just on the precipice of a reset here, something new, okay? So that is exciting as well. This card is really cool because it shows a different approach for the 5 of Cups. I love that it's called Ecstasy on this one. We can have fun with 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups can not just be like, oh, that didn't work and this didn't happen. What it can be is, what an interesting winding road I took to get to this point. And look what's here now. And I'm going to have fun with it. I can't control what was, but I can control how I react to this now and what I want to do next. She's facing the 2 cups in front of her, and the other ones are ancient history. And it's one of the only decks where you don't see spilled energy on this particular card, so it's pretty exciting. All right, that, my friends, is the overarching energy. Let's take a quick look at it before we go into the expanded forecast. A couple of themes that I'm noticing here is moving from dissatisfaction to really celebrating what you can control, because these are your outcome cards. Making sure that you control your emotions and have an outlet for it. Avoiding power struggles. And realizing that that's going to be important here because what could be competitive could also be playful. So trust in that. Don't get overly territorial. That's one of the things that's missing on this moon card. Normally you would see a dog and a wolf. And territorial stuff is you're missing the bigger picture and the opportunity. So I think that there's a cool hidden partnership, and that actually is what this Five of Cups would normally show, which would be like a hidden Two of Cups. So if you're looking for love, if you're looking for sort of a playful opportunity to connect or partner up, it's here. It's hidden, but it's here. So you got to keep an eye open for that. So whether you're looking for love or partnership or that connection, I see it coming through. And as we expand the forecast, we'll get some more energy and information around that. Let's talk about what's coming next. We're going to take a look here at expanded forecast, which is health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each and every one of these is multifaceted. So as we look at health, for instance, it's going to be mind, body, and spirit. Before I get into the health card, I always like to remind you that I'm here to look at energy. So if I do mention anything regarding your body or health, you'll always want to work with a doctor or professional. That being said, let's talk about the energy this month. So we have the earthworm coming through for health. Lovely energy for health because it is about grounding yourself. To me, it's also a flexibility card. So I think of earthworms. They can survive in places that other insects and creatures wouldn't or couldn't. And usually they leave things better than when they started. They aerate the soil. Their casings basically make the soil richer. They're a food source. So pretty much abundant unless there's too many of them. So when I look at the earthworm as a sort of symbol for you, it's saying be grounded, be flexible, and realize that you can take something, in this case, maybe your health or your approach towards something, and it can be better at the end of the month than it was when it started. So I love the earthworm energy overall. I think it's great. The grounding energy is the key. So we want to be focusing on basically your bottom three chakras. So your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and your solar plexus. Those get missed a lot when we focus on meditation and spiritual development. But if you don't have the root really kind of grounded, you're going to be in trouble. If you can't express yourself, the sexual chakra, it's going to be difficult to feel fulfilled in your life. Like no one's listening to me, no one's allowing me to have my voice, my vision, etc. It's going to show up in partnerships as well if you can't kind of be who you want to be. And then, of course, the power dynamics are going to be important. So all of those things are coming through as far as your body, and you want to be focusing on basically from the stomach below, that part of your body. Lower extremities are where you prioritize your time and your energy. To that effect, let's kind of take a look at the cards as well and see what messages are coming through. I have to start with the Three of Swords. Three of Swords is as much symbolic as it can also be sort of like a directional card. So if there's any unhappiness, because we have King of Cups, Nine of Cups, and Three of Swords all reversed, this is deep past, this is where your head's at, this is where you're headed. So we got to get your energy in a sort of higher space. So for some of you, you just need to cry or laugh or scream or get the energy out. There could also be something going on with a history of blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, etc. The heart can be a space that you want to focus on. Interestingly enough, a lot of times when people hold energy in a certain part of their body, then it can actually sort of like things can get exacerbated there. So hypertension, tension in general, we want to open up the heart, lessen the sort of like stress in your life. So good stress management, joy and happiness, and the ability to do something that brings that sense of love and opening is going to be important to your heart health as well. Not to mention just eating and exercising properly. Again, for that, work with your doctor. Energetically, though, I can say do things that bring about happiness and work on stress reduction. Keeping an open mind is going to be so important. There might be a different way to get something done, even with your health. Some of you are having some difficulty focusing. There's so much going on that it can be a kind of combination of anxiety, anticipation, and then maybe just persistent thoughts. So again, working on that. That's one of the distractions here. There could be some frustration, like why can't I see what's bothering me or what's going on? Get a second opinion if you need that. Work-life balance is typically what happens with the Two of Pentacles. You might be focusing, again, too much on competition. You probably have a lot more in common with the brother, sister, coworker, parent, whoever it is that you're competing with. That's typically a common theme there. Prioritize your own well-being with this. I do see you overcoming it, though. Here's some fear. Here's the balancing act. Something wins out, and you're in a better place. You exit the month a lot better than you started, so that the earthworm energy manifests, which I like. Okay, good overall. great health messages. Nothing here catastrophic. The main thing is just how are you feeling? How are you dealing with stress? And then again, focusing on taking care of the heart. All right, let's look at wealth. In wealth, we have the lizard spirit. It says, dream the world into being. What a great card for manifestation. It's almost like the Two of Wands because the lizard's between two different reeds or blades of grass there. And then, you can also kind of say this could be like a high priestess energy too, because you have to dream it to do it. You have to see it in actuality. And so when we're looking at wealth, that's what we see is the ability to basically see it before it's happening. Lizards are amazing totems as well because they have the capacity, not all, but most, to kind of lose a part of their body, like their tail, and grow it back. Some of them, maybe even if they can't grow it back, they can still survive. So to me, that's fascinating that you have to know when to let something go when it comes to work with this. Some lizards have the capacity to kind of like the same camouflage or color changing things that we talked about. Salamanders a little bit more, I think, but chameleons. But what I like about this is that ability to blend in and then also know when to kind of like really jump out. So the element of surprise keeps coming through, Capricorn, for your reading. So I think you're gonna rise up and surprise people because you've been hiding yourself a little bit. Some of you might just be biding time until either the opportunity presents itself or you see something and you're like, I want to go for that. And you're going to raise your hand this month. And to me, that's going to be exciting because you've got what it takes. This is also wands personified. On a lot of decks, you'll see lizards in the suit of wands. So there's fiery energy associated with this. So you're definitely in a powerful cognitive space this month, and people are going to pay attention to you. Let's look at work messages here. I feel like many of you, it's either like break through the glass ceiling, get to the next level, or break out. So if you're in an existing job, it's time to be recognized or it's time to move on. There may also be a transfer. You may decide to transfer to another division or move. This could be a change of location. And I forgot to mention that in the general reading. So that holds true here, not just in work, but in general. You might be deciding to move or to travel, something that we've all had to put on hold for a long time, but there are more opportunities now. Maybe you're thinking of buying a house too. Don't overextend yourself. We've got the Two of Pentacles here. Whatever that sort of option or opportunity is, be smart about it. Realize that you're going to need to take care of yourself and not feel completely stressed out with respect to that. I like your ability to see beyond the obvious. Seven of Cups is an advantage in work. Again, you just have to take a lead and articulate. So emotional happiness is the one big block across all the different health, wealth, love, and destiny subcategories this month. So once you can kind of check the emotions, everything else is really amazing. Power struggles for sure. Don't get caught up in other people's drama. You want to be like the snake in the background and find your own path if you need to. Everything's really good for you, I have to say. The only thing that I don't love, and maybe I'll look at it when I do Reader's Choice, is that we only have the Two of Pentacles here. So you have just about everything else represented nicely, but I'd love to see more resources for you. So you're either working like the jobs of too many people, you're putting on a lot of hats, or you're not getting a 50-50 sort of return, like someone else isn't doing their job and you're just doing too much. Something's going on where I want to see a little bit more return on energetic investment, okay? I think if you can do that this month, then you have great opportunities in the horizon here. Have some fun and work with what's available to you. Good energy overall. And again, sometimes we have to ask for something before it happens. My first big job, it was maybe like my third or fourth one, but the first big company that I worked at, it went through a merger like 4 years after I was working there. And I just didn't have the experience or I didn't figure out I need to talk to the people that are going to be taking it over. Someone else did, and they got the job that I should have gotten. They had less experience, a lower title. They were just more proactive. So one thing that you want to be thinking of is if I just gone and talked to the person and said, this is what I'd like to do, and this is what I've done before the other person got that offer and took it, then I could have gotten it. Truth be known, I'm glad I'm not there. But it was a moment where I thought, oh, that's what you need to do. So the lizard is coming through to say, hey, just show and share that dream if it's an idea of something that you want. If you don't say it, someone else probably will. So don't lose that little moment of creation, okay? Okay, let's move on to relationships. So we have the adorable child card coming through here. The child card, if we were to pull this into like a traditional tarot deck, it would be like the sun, perhaps, because the sun is a little baby on a horse. It could be the Six of Cups, it could be the Fool. It's someone who needs to express themselves and have a moment. And so as we're looking at relationships, inner child energy could be coming through, the desire to start a family could be coming through, or just having some fun like the Six of Cups. So you can't, as much as we want to be grown-ups all the time, either there's something good about the playful energy or someone's acting a fool, someone's acting like a child. So we'll look at that as we break down the different levels of relationships that I like to look at, which is going to be threefold. We're going to look at those of you in a relationship, those seeking a relationship, and those that are single and happy. As we take a look at those in relationships, remember you can also apply this to non-romantic interests in your life. So this could just be like a coworker, a family member, or a best friend, because those are still intimate relationships. I'm going to read it though as if it were love here. So for those of you in a relationship, let's see what's coming through. Confusion is one of the things that is coming through loud and clear at the beginning here. So feels like both of you are distracted. Seven of Cups means that even if you're talking to the other person, they seem like they're like a million miles away. Or you could even notice that they're like on their phone, or they're looking over here, or this or that. And so I think the important thing here is timing. Make sure if there's a time when someone's a little bit more receptive that you pick that timing. Calling someone out on the fact that they're distracted, you could just say, what did I just say? The person's going to say, I'm sorry, I don't know. Put the phone down, let's talk. Like just sort of like check them if need be. And then also, what are you looking for? What do you want? If you don't know what you want, you're going to get a lot of stuff. And it's kind of like a so-so buffet. Not that any of us eat at that anymore, like in COVID times, but it would be like a place, or there's too much and you don't know where to start. I recently ate with a friend at a restaurant where I think the menu was it's like 20 pages. And I thought, this is not good. This restaurant doesn't have a point of view and there's too much and I'm confused. And the food wasn't good because they're trying to do everything in the kitchen sink and it tastes like that. It tasted bland and misdirected. So what you want to do is say, this is what I'm looking for. I think this is how I want to do it. I'm open to some approaches here, but at least pinpoint something. Get it down a few levels. It's like GPS. If you can get it down to the neighborhood block, you can probably find the business. But if it's like a 10-mile radius, good luck. We got to get the GPS in to the city block. So that you're a little bit more effective in finding and targeting where you want to go. How does this apply in relationships? If your partner doesn't know what you want, they're going to have a hard time pleasing you. If you're not tuned into what's going on with them, you might not know how to support them or be with them. If both of you are distracted, you may also let something fall in the relationship. Maybe someone doesn't pay the bills or someone doesn't do this. Distraction and a lack of clarity. The biggest point that could kind of take you into what we see here, which is an argument. I see one partner that's very frustrated and kind of like stubborn. I see another one that's kind of emotional. So we've got emotions and we have like, I'm the one that's right here. It's stubbornness and a heart-centric approach where someone's hurt. So finding a way to talk through this and clear the air, that's all this is. The Seven of Cups, even though it is water, you normally see the cups in the air. So this is about clearing the air. And then it's also about really showing love and support, rising above someone else's bad behavior as well. So all of that's key. Do you or your partner feel like the other one isn't seeing one another? Just say, I really appreciate this, or this frustrates me. Have you noticed this? Bring the focus where it needs to be, okay? Work-life balance keeps coming through. And I feel like if there's an argument, we got to kind of focus less on the sparring and get some space and just decide, and this is really key for any of you, am I in or am I out when it comes to this partnership? Is it worth fighting for? Because if it is, you can get there. You have to focus on what's there, what's available, and not focus on all that's gone wrong. But if it isn't, you're going to be happy either way because this is still a celebratory illustration. So it's do or die. It's kind of fix it or leave it this month. Either way, and you kind of know what you have to work on. Okay. I also see third party here because we have, or it could be a family sort of situation because we have two kings and we have a knight. So there could be a younger person getting in the way. It could also be sort of you guys struggling over what's best for your family, whether it's a parent or a child. There's sort of that energy of who's right and who's owning this sort of responsibility. All right, let's shift the focus for those of you that are looking for love. The good news is it's closer than you think. It may not come in the package that you imagined. For many of you, there's too much energy. This is the drama that I was talking about with the Three of Swords, but also the Nine of Cups is super dramatic. So we need to kind of like pull the drama and the sort of overarching energy around it must happen, or why isn't it happening, or it's never going to happen. There's too many absolutes. What I'd love for you to do is to focus on being happy and complete and whole, and do so by finding work and life balance. Do you legitimately have enough time to put into a relationship if it came along? Are all parts of your life as balanced as they should be? Have you balanced your checkbook? Is your health where it needs to be? How's your emotional state? If this stuff is kind of not balanced, then bringing someone else into the mix just further puts you in that seesaw territory. So balance out your life first. I think that once you do that, it happens pretty quickly. If you're looking for love, we have the World card here. So once this is fixed, faster than you think, I think love could be coming through for you. But I'm going to be honest with you. It feels like there's some self-work to happen for all of you that are looking for love. Remember what I said about exes and old experiences. There could be at least two old relationships or exes that you're kind of looking and vacillating and thinking, should I not? Why did that happen? So resolve what you need to, but I wouldn't necessarily go back down that path again. I think it's important to focus on the future and expanding and growing and pruning out some of those old experiences, and that'll help you out. If you're single and happy, I think it's a great time to be single and happy. I think that what I would be focusing on is what's next. Do I like where I'm living? Do I like where I'm working? Do I like what's going on? How can I do more? How can I go to the next level? Because basically that's, if I were to sum it up, relationships are kind of like the side plate, but the whole purpose of next month is next level, how to go to the next level, how to level up, right? So the relationships are either supporting you on that, or they're kind of one of the blocks that you have to get through before +1 happens, before you go to the next level, okay? Ultimately, I definitely need to dig into resources. So when I get into Reader's Choice in just a few moments here, I'll take a look at how we can find balance and more resources for you. I think that covers everything that I want to say with relationships. So let's move on to your Destiny card. Guess what we have here? The heart. A beautiful illustration of the basically what we saw there with the Three of Swords. If we were just to kind of like make it into an Ace of Cups, it's taking care of yourself. And we see the imprint of like a tree leaf, right? The veins of a leaf. And so for many of you, it's almost like reading the palm, right? You're looking at all of what was, and realizing that as much as we can read the palm, we can also decide, I see this happening, but I want to do something different. We can always deviate from the plan, flipping the script or the switch in order to be most happy, most authentic, most satisfied. Okay? Are you ready to kind of embrace fully whatever it is that you want to do? Do you believe in it? Do you believe in you, yourself, your vision, your plan? Because you've got to believe in that baby before you give it to someone else. Love yourself, love your idea, love your approach. Surefire way to make sure that others do as well. Otherwise, people can smell fear like a mile away, and they're going to think, there's something about this where you're apprehensive. Okay, let's look at what's next. We just got through the channel messages, the Celtic Cross, the expanded forecast. Let's move on to the big idea. The big idea is a chance for you to see one thing that can really help you find the clarity that you're looking for, find the healing that you're looking for, have a successful month overall. So let's take a look at the cards and let's see what they have to say about the next 6 to 8 weeks? What can you do to be happy, successful, effective? This is one of the most beautiful Ten of Swords cards in any of the decks, and it's very unusual. So in this particular deck, arrows are swords and wands are bows. So we have basically learning. It is sort of like the what is it called? The School of Hard Knocks. So we have the Ten of Swords here, but if we could allow our failures or our missteps to be instructional rather than destructive, so if we could learn from, if we could appreciate, if we could find context in them, then we can be like this little kid where we're saying, oh, I do it this way, not this way. That's your big idea. There have been no failures in your life. Things didn't work the way you wanted. Things maybe didn't work the way you expected. The timing could have been inconvenient or unpredictable. You've never been alone. You've always been guided by the universe. Even as you were making the missteps, it was there saying, I'm so sorry you've chosen that or you've gone through this, but we're going to help you. You're not going to do it again. That's it. That's the main thing here is I've done that before. I'm not going to do it again. Sometimes I have to, it's kind of like touching a hot stove. You do it once, you're like, that hurts. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to avoid that. Your body knows to kind of jump back too. So knowing what not to do, not repeating it this time, not beating yourself up. What good comes of that? So instead, focus on what am I going to do now? What are you going to do now? What's next? There is a hope, even in a traditional Ten of Swords card. Let me see if I can pull it. Well, this one's a little bit atypical. Here we go. I'll find it here while we're talking. So in the Ten of Swords, there's a new dawn. There's a new day. And if you can be focusing on the energy of that new dawn or that new day, I feel like that's where your power is. Here we go. So if you look at the Ten of Swords, this experience is done. It's dramatic. I told you swords are obvious, on the nose, way more on the nose. It's like hitting you in the head, so obvious. But the cloud, the storm has passed and we see a brand new day on the horizon. And so what you're going to be focusing on is the new day and moving beyond the experience that brought that and then learning to do better next time. That's all. And also we can learn from others' mistakes. So the Ten of Swords can be someone else that in your life, like maybe it's family or a friend that just messed something up. So you're not going to torture them anymore or blame them anymore for this or yourself. And you're just going to say, I know what I need to do. I know what I'm going to do instead. All right. I feel like we talked that all the way through. So let's go next to blessings and blocks. Blessings and blocks, just like they sound, are going to help you embrace something positive and avoid something that could lead you to the Ten of Swords, for instance. So let's really pay attention to the block for sure. So blessings and blocks, we'll pull the cards first, and then we'll take a look at each one separately. The blessing card is the Stag card, which in this deck is Justice. And the block card is the Five of Wands, which is Empowerment. All right, so let's look at each one of these. We'll start with the blessing card here. All right, so looking at what is your decision. This particular deck flipped Strength and Justice. So this one is Justice. What I like about Justice here is ostensibly a she. It doesn't really, no, it's a he because of the horns. They are beating to they're marching to the beat of their own drum here. So when it comes to a decision, when it comes to what's right, it isn't black and white. It's what feels right. It's what sounds right. It's what resonates with you. So they're listening to that energy of the soul. So this is also a time for you to be decisive. Where do you stand? You should know by the end of the month, and you may be put in a situation where someone point blank says, what do you want to do? What do you believe? Do you think I should do this? And if you can formulate your opinions on key things in your life right now, it's going to help. Really figuring out like what you want to do with your career, where you stand in a relationship, if you're happy. These are easy but deep questions. So if I ask you those sort of things, like what is it that you want to do on the planet? Sometimes people freak out because they're not used to being asked that. For me, it's to inspire, it's to empower, it's to educate, It's to talk, basically to raise the collective consciousness, but there's a lot of sub-bullets. So I know exactly what I'm trying to do, but I didn't always. But because I've had more time to focus on it, because I've helped people for so many years, it became clear, like blindingly clear to me. Take some time this month and figure out, I know what you do. You know, you could say, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a waitress, I'm a teacher, I'm a mother. But what do you want to do? You're telling me what you do as a living, what your title is, but what are you trying to do with that skill set or that role? Are you trying to heal? Are you trying to empower? Like some of the things I was just talking about. What's the real meat of it? Because one is just an occupation. What's the planetary calling? And then when it comes to situations in your life, which side of the fence do you stand on? Because there might be something this month where people are going to come to you. So one is inner knowledge and knowing. The other thing is external. Where do you stand? And being able to make sure that the two converge in a good way. Because if something going on doesn't feel right and it's an inner sort of thing and it's against who you are, then you have to kind of go on that side of the fence. That's what that says. Setting the scales evenly as well. And if there's something that isn't just, taking care of that. So we have the Five of Wands coming up here in your block. Five of Wands is just like the Two of Pentacles here. It can be competition that we see in both of these cards. So one of the things that you're going to be focusing on here. Also, it's kind of like the direction. We see him holding that bow and arrow. So one of the things that I would say for you is, where are you trying to focus your time and energy? Where can you have the most power? And can you kind of avoid the snake pit that we saw here, right? Getting stuck in the middle of all of that. I think if you can do that and also make sure that you're not missing something on the horizon, that's going to be important this month, okay? I think that's the main thing that I want to focus on for that. Let's move on to one last thing with the Five of Wands. If it's just work for the sake of work, this can be just like going through the motions and wondering like, why am I doing this? Not just because you're expected to, not just because you've been doing it. This is a wake-up call for you. Why are you here, basically, is the question. Okay, good. Let's move on to the viewer's and the reader's choice. So for this one, I'm going to look at resources. I already know what I'm going to look at. Let me slide the cards up a little bit here, and we're going to take a look and see what you can vote on. And you get to impact my decision. So let me just get everything set up here. Okay, so let's look at some choices. So as I'm looking at all of the cards here, here's some things that I want to look at for you. I think still work-life balance is important. So let's go ahead and put that in there. Work-life balance. Time for you, basically. The other thing that I want to look at is seeing the unseen. So hidden by the camera here, we have the unseen card. And then we have the Five of Cups, which can show that too. So I'm going to call it like hidden blessings and opportunities. The next thing that I would like to suggest is healing. Healing the heart. Yeah, it's healing the heart space. Because we have a lot of these sort of energetic opportunities for healing. So like, what needs to be healed, we're going to say. How to heal the heart. Okay, so there you go. There's some options for you to vote on. While you're doing that, I'm going to take a look now at why do we only have the Two of Pentacles? Yet we have like a really expansive world card. What can we do to bring you more resources and opportunities? All right, so for the card that I chose here for resources, we have the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands is a fantastic card to come through for you. This is basically illustrating that you have this opportunity right now to push. The Ten of Wands can actually be pushy. So one way that you can get more resources is to say, this doesn't work anymore. If you want me to continue to do this, I need this, this, and this. If not, I'm going to have to do this, and this other thing is going to fall by the side. So for a negotiation tactic, you can say you're asking for too much. It's not sustainable. I'm tired, I'm fatigued. It's not going to be able to be accomplished. I can't promise that. And they're either going to give it or they're not. And that can be your opportunity to decide if this is what you want to do. The other thing is saying, I'm done. I did everything that I needed to here. I'm now going to move on. This is a graduating card. So you have graduated from this experience. You learned everything that you needed to learn. Now what? Why are you here? You either elevate or you evacuate. And that's why we got the World card that came through too, right? So both of these are graduation cards. This more exaggerated than this, but that's basically what I see. Both of them are moving cards. This can be commuting, telecommuting, and teleworking. This can be literally going somewhere else. There could be an opportunity for you to not have to physically move to get something or do something, to use technology to make that happen. And by all means, make sure that you're exploring all options. So if you can't be in a certain place, make sure that you're still looking at it. Whether it's a house, maybe an agent can show you through Zoom or FaceTime. Maybe if it's a job, you don't have to move. You can stay where you're at and you can work somewhere else. But I want you to apply to opportunities like away from where you're at. Look at options away from you. If you're looking for love, love could be coming through with the World and the Ten of Wands as someone who's not from your particular geographic location, whether it's another country or just a different province or state. Okay? All right, let's see what you've chosen for me. Hidden blessings and opportunities, like by a landslide, by nearly 60%. So I don't even have to wait for the vote on that. Thank you. Hidden opportunities. I think that no pun intended, it was an obvious option, especially with the unseen. We have to see what's going on here. So how can you see something that's just either out of sight or you're getting distracted and missing it? So let's take a look and see what the advice is on that. The Knight of Cups, fantastic. Lots of snakes that came through in this one. So lots of flexibility, lots of movement. But so here's what I'm picking up with this. This particular knight had to get himself out of a situation that was a little bit tricky because I'm looking at how twisty and turny that eel is. So for you, you have to go beneath the surface. When we look at the Moon card, the one thing that can pull people back is they're afraid of what they may see. This particular Knight of Vessels, the Eel card, is saying, you know what, I'm going to have to go to that depth in order to figure this out. So I want you to push through the emotional block. So if it is fear of being judged, fear of being seen, lack of confidence, lack of, just sort of like being insecure, whatever it is, it's striking me more as an emotional block again that's coming up one more time. And if you can just push through the block, and also there could be an inflexibility where you're thinking, I can't. I'd like you to just say, and I don't like it because Yoda would say, try or try not, or do not, there is no try. Just try it and see and think, I'm going to do it and we'll see what happens. So I just want you, you can do what you want to do. I'm encouraging you to put yourself out there. Notice how we actually see the sword hidden on the stone. So if you can't do it on your own, talk to someone about this. And remember, knights, no matter which element they represent, still have the ability to communicate and convey things. So fight for what's important to you, your heart. Just start talking, because even if you're not perfectly articulate, the way in which you communicate, the emotions and your vulnerability could actually be what helps you see it, or someone else see it from your perspective. I think you're just afraid to feel it on some level. So listen to the heart, okay? It's leading you in the right direction. Even if it feels like it's murky waters, it's actually leading you towards the right direction. All right, I hope that helped. Let's go ahead now and see what's coming through here. I think we've been through all the major portions of this. We're going to get ready for the final card. Building up to that, I like to do two things. We're going to do a quick meditation and sound bath. All together, it takes 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll look at one final question. The final question can be anything specific that I didn't have a chance to cover in this general reading. So if there's a specific opportunity or challenge in a relationship or something interpersonal that you're trying to work on, write it down on a piece of paper or just hold it in your head and hold it into your heart while we're looking at the meditation, and I'll do my best to help you out with that. Okay? Before we get into the next portion, just a subtle reminder at this point to please, especially before we meditate, if you're a first-time viewer here, or if you've been watching me for like 3 or 4 years and you're afraid to hit the subscribe button, it doesn't cost anything. You don't get spammed. It just helps the channel. So please help the channel if you can. If you've already done it, thank you. There's still time to hit thumbs up if you haven't done that, the like button. And even if you've subscribed before but you're not getting stuff, check in the bell and make sure that you've opted into all notifications. Follow me on social media for reminders of what I do each time I go live, and also just some fun news and information. And again, thank you to the Super Chat, Super Stickers, and members out there. I'll say a welcome at the end for anybody that just joined today. You can always find my schedule information on my website. All right, let's get into your meditation. Let's take a look at everything today here as I'm just scanning the cards in front of me. I really like the tree energy here. I think it would be nice to connect with this, to be able to sort of really see your way through or out of a situation that was tricky. We've had so many serpents and snakes and lizards and earthworms. It's all about, let's look one more time before we get into that. So we have the earthworm here, we have the lizard here, we have the actual sort of snake-like, I just lost what it was, a maze or a labyrinth here. And again, the king of bows here, the snakes here. So I just see all of this movement and the eel over here. It's all about being flexible. So I want you to imagine that there is something that you're trying to get through, and we're going to allow you to shape shift or to kind of like rise above that and get through this door, through this portal here, right around the trees here. So close your eyes for a moment and let's do a quick meditation together. The most important thing for you to do is to focus on the lower 3 chakras, as we saw with the earthworm message here. So find a tree in the forest that calls to you. You can either find it in the clearing or just find the oldest, wisest, most beautiful tree that you can see as you're walking through this emerald green, lush forest. Taking time as you're walking towards the tree to enjoy the smell of the air, which is rich with the sweet sort of smell of the earth, ozone because it's just rained recently. It's just the most beautiful aromatic smell that you can imagine if you've ever been to the forest, and you know what I'm talking about. As you approach the tree, you find that there's a nice little bench right underneath it. Allow yourself to sit in that bench and lean back and really kind of let your neck be supported by the tree. And as you lean your head into the trunk of this tree, you feel this sort of beautiful warmth, almost as if the tree could wrap itself around you. You could even imagine some of the lower branches move towards you and give you this sort of embrace. And as you lean back, the tree gives you permission to connect with it. And as you connect with the tree, your mind first goes as high as it possibly can, and it looks at the world around it. You can see the little path that you've taken that was illustrated in the card that I showed you a few moments ago. For some of you, it's been a straight path. For some of you, it's been very windy and unpredictable. As you look at it from this distance and this vista, however, there's sort of like this nice pattern that's taking shape, and you realize that it's all been context. And just like we saw the 10 of Swords, that instructional card, everything has made you stronger, better, brighter, and more prepared for what comes next. The tree reminds you to ground your energy. And as you keep this sort of bird's eye view on the world, you travel down the trunk, through the roots, beyond the roots into the mantle, into the rocky energy of the earth itself. And you can start to feel the heat, the energy, the magnetic energy from the center of the earth. And you tap into that in a way now that mimics the magician card. As above, so below. You're reaching up like the tallest branches, and you're also reaching in to the planet like the deepest root. And now you are the magician receiving the energy in between this. And in this moment now, you have a choice. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I elevate? Decide what you want to do with this moment, because you are the magician, just in a very different format. What are you going to do to mold or break the mold of this situation to your satisfaction, to your liking? And what are you also being guided to do? Just listen. One of the most wonderful things in the forest is the sound of silence, or the sound of the wind blowing. So just listen to your heart, listen to the wind, listen to the tree. Just see what comes to your mind and how you feel. You don't even have to envision anything. Just how do you feel afterwards? Let some peace wash over you. And I'm just going to choose what to play today so that we don't have to do another poll. I'm going to play the singing bowl. Just listen to this and imagine that it's the sound of the wind blowing through the forest, and it's bringing you this sense of peace, calm, and purpose. Take a final deep breath. Come back into your body. Put your hands in your heart and bow towards the tree and just say, thank you so much. Thanks for the lesson that I learned. Thanks for the sort of higher view of what was possible. Whatever you were shown, whatever you were given, that's yours and yours alone to do with whatever you need to. But understand, just like the Ten of Swords card that we saw here, the very unusual Ten of Swords, you are being guided, you are being shown how and what to do next. What question do you have for me? Don't type it yet. Focus instead on thinking about it. Let me pull a card and we'll discuss it. Interesting that I mentioned the Four of Swords as one of the dramatic cards, because here it came through in a much more beautiful sort of sense here. So we see the metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly coming through here. And for many of you, what felt like it was a setback, a loss, or something that came and passed, we see something better on the horizon. So I see for you a change for the better. As a yes-no, let me answer it as that first. A yes-no tells me you need to sleep on it. It also tells me this could be too sleepy or moderate of an option or opportunity. There's something about it that seems to just sort of be sleepy. Some of you need a break, so if you're asking, can you take a vacation? Should you be taking some time off or a sabbatical or something of that nature? This is a yes. The subtlety, this is actually almost answering the unseen question. Listen to what your dreams, your thoughts, your daydreaming is telling you, because that's the one part of your life that you can't control. We can't control the heart. We can't control the dreams and the desires and all of that. So see where that's taking you. The daydreaming energy is trying to kind of liberate you. Overall, this is a sort of sleepy general energy with the Four of Swords. So I'm seeing a period where there could be a little plateau. Things could be a little bit quiet. There could be a lull, but it could also be the quiet before the storm. So I always like to enjoy moments of Four of Swords. It's a gentle energy. Do what you can to practice self-care, to take advantage of this time, to know that it's not necessarily always going to happen forever, and you're going to come out of this completely different. So for those of you that might have been going through a breakup, a layoff, or a disappointment, the butterfly moment awaits you because you had to go through this to shock the system into becoming something more than it was, okay? It's a complicated card for the final card, but it's showing me that the only way out is through. You have to change, you have to develop, you have to move through it. There's a little bit of rest and integration that's a part of that, but then once you do that, you're fine. And it's definitely a card of elevation and being in a better place. So overall, I like it. As a timing card, it could be a month or it could be a quarter of the year. It's 4, so it could be 4 weeks or 3 to 4 months. So there's a little bit of a sleeper period here if you're looking at that. Nothing and then bang, something when you've almost forgotten about it or given up on it. Okay. That, my friends, is today's reading in a nutshell. I want to just say thank you for joining me. And thanks again to everyone that did like and subscribe today, who did opt into follow me on social media, and also those who gave back. In fact, I'd like to give a few moments here just to extend gratitude. If it's your first time, welcome. I'm going to be back again tomorrow to read for Aquarius, and then the next 2 readings will be on the weekend, collective. Every Sunday I do a collective. On Monday, I'll be doing Pisces, and on Thursday, I'm doing a bonus one, and then Friday, we reset and we start with Aries again. So all of that will be coming, and I'll have some of those links on my channel later today. So thank you. Just a heads up on the overall schedule, which again, you can find on my website. And again, special thanks to anybody who chose to become a member today. Couldn't do it without my sustaining members, but I also want to say thank you to the new ones here. So give me a moment to welcome any new members or anybody that gave back in the way of Super Chat or Super Stickers today. So starting with the newest members here, thank you, Jonathan Verge, for rejoining after 4 months, to Carrie Hale for rejoining after 6 months, Sylvia Correa, I think it is. Thank you very much for rejoining after 2 months. Conscious Candace rejoining after 6 months, Sarah for rejoining after 11, Yasmina for joining, and Kimber, I think that's the last one, for rejoining after 24 months, because I remember saying Kimber last time. So thank you to all those, mostly rejoining. Good to have all of you back, and I do appreciate that. Now, for the folks today that were able to give back in the form of a super sticker or super chat, let's go through that and then we'll wrap up. All right, so kicking everything off today, Yasmina, thank you so much. Kiara, thank you as well. Rosemary, I appreciate that, especially I'm sorry, these are Sagittarius. So thanks to all of those people. Now let's move on to the Capricorn. Sorry, today kicking it off was AB. So AB, Aisha, Isha Marie, Brandon, Z, and Jules in July. Thank you for making today special. I appreciate that. And I think I hit everybody. I appreciate that. Again, hopefully some of you can join me tomorrow if you are Aquarius or if you just want to support the channel. And then I'll see you again on the weekend. Thank you so much to Maria for your assistance today and always with moderation. And I hope you're all having a great week. We're almost through this week and almost through this month. Can you believe it? Like I said, by the time we hit Monday, I will have wrapped up all of the April readings and you'll be able to see them all on the channel. Okay? Take care of yourselves. Lots of love and light. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.